Welcome back to the Standing Room Only podcast. This is episode 19. If you guys don't already follow, subscribe, download to the podcast, I recommend doing that. It's the best way to show support. You can follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter at SROnlyPod. You can follow myself, Healy, at TheHealy6, and you can follow Goose.
I am iGoose with 4 O's. I am on Instagram. Eventually, I'll be everywhere else that Healy's on, but until then, I am on Instagram. So,
yeah, episode 19. Thanks for all the support so far on the podcast. The next few weeks are probably going to be a little shorter until we get into baseball season and football news kicks up a little bit. NBA is still full swing. We're getting towards the end of the year. There's some storylines with that, but for the most part, basketball is the only thing going on right now, and the other sports aren't really worth talking about. So I hope you guys stick around for that. I'm excited for baseball season to start just so I can talk about that for like an hour just by myself.
Yeah, I'm going to be MIA. You guys may or may not hear me that much. Just kidding. I'm going to get my 2 cents in on that too. And we're going to have some special episodes coming up leading up to the baseball season. It's a little too early right now. We still have a couple weeks before we do some predictions, awards, all that fun stuff. So as Healy said, stay with us for the ride. Baseball season's coming around. We have basketball. The end of the season's coming up, so we do have the basketball playoffs. We've had some good matchups lately. And thanks for joining us on the Super Tuesday.
Yeah, we are going to start off with baseball. Spring training still happening. Something great that has happened. I am a Cubs fan, but yesterday the Angels played the Cubs on ESPN. And they had Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo mic'd up. Did you see any clips of that?
I actually did not.
Oh, my.
I saw that they were playing. I saw before the game, I saw Rizzo out talking to Madden. I actually did not watch the game, but what happened? Did they have anything good to say? Or?
Oh, they were just funny. They were interacting with the broadcasters. They had a couple references to movies. I think Chris Bryant had like a Rookie of the Year impression where he went up to the plate and he just was like, oh my God, I'm scared. And just sat there and went, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then he got a fastball, ripped it down the line. It was foul. He almost had a double. They like asked him what pitch he got. He was like, it was just a fastball. And then he was going back. And they was like, do you have any other thoughts or whatever? And he's just like, I'm tired. And him and Rizzo were chirping back and forth. At one point, Joe Madden got on the mic. And I think at one point, Chris Bryant was just wearing the normal C hat. Anthony Rizzo was wearing the spring training hat.
Training with the Cub on it, yeah.
And the broadcaster was like, do you guys know that you're wearing different hats? And Chris Bryant's like, we wear what we want. And also, Anthony Rizzo at one point called a fastball. He's like, I've only got one fastball so far. I'm expecting a fastball right here. He got a fastball, ripped it. Got a single from it. And then Anthony Rizzo, in one of his at-bats, was asking, like, or the broadcasters asked him, like, oh, what pitch do you think's coming? He's like, I'm not really too sure. Send a bang for me. For the Astros.
That's hilarious. So it sounded like they were having a lot of fun, which is, yeah. I mean, that's good. It's spring training. Obviously, they're on the team. They're guaranteed to play. It's good to see that they're having fun right now, especially in the nice weather, in the West Coast. Where are they playing? They're playing in Arizona, right?
Yeah. It would have been cool if they do this for more minor league games. People are like, they should do this all year. But in a game that is impacted so much, you can't. I guess you could have guys mic'd up, but you can't have the broadcasters talking to them in the middle of a game.
No, not in their ear. You don't want that.
No.
I believe during the NBA All-Star game, they had some players mic'd up, too. That was pretty cool. They were interacting with the broadcasters. I did like that.
They do that in the NFL all the time.
Yeah, they should, doing it during, like, pregame or, say, like what they already do as it is. Obviously, they give interviews. If somebody's on the bench, they do that. I do like the idea of them staying interactive with the players or just micing them up without somebody talking in their head.
Yeah, I would like that so that you could get some bits from the game.
Oh, yeah.
That would be cool. People were mainly talking about on Twitter, like, oh, they should do what they're doing in the game. But no, you can't be asking them questions during an at-bat or like in the field and making them lose focus.
Yeah, because you could say anything and they're going to lose. And baseball is all about focus and composure. So
And every at-bat matters. You only get 3-4 ABs a game at minimum. And then in the field, like that one hit, if you let up from a lapse in judgment, could lead to like a couple of runs.
Yep.
So I would definitely like more mic'd up guys during the year. That would be cool. It would get more exposure for the players. Like it was great seeing Chris Bryant be a funny dude and getting a lot of exposure because he's somewhat like on the Mike Trout level where he's famous, but he isn't like really out there in when he plays. He doesn't pimp home runs. He's not super flashy. So it was good to see like his personality shown off.
Speaking of Trout, I know he's not very flashy, but when he had that golf club in his hand, I don't know about you or anybody else watching, that dude hit that ball probably like 600 yards, and it probably didn't go 600 yards, but the way he hit that was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah, the Top Golf, if you guys have not seen, there's a bunch of Top Golf videos, including Cody Bellinger, including a guy from the Marlins. It might be like Victor Mesa.
Okay, so there's other players that have videos out there. Yeah, that one of Trout I saw, and I watched it like 4 or 5 times, and I try to follow the ball. You lose it right away.
I'm surprised it did not. I would be surprised if it stayed in Top Golf.
I don't even know if they scored it. I don't even think he got scored for it because it didn't land in the field.
Cody Bellinger's another one where it's just launched off the club.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my golf swing up for the summer.
It is funny though how that is. Those clips are like the most popular ones out of like baseball
right now.
When they aren't playing baseball, especially Mike Trout. That's Mike Trout's most popular clip ever, and it's him hitting a golf ball.
Yeah, well, to be fair, he does it to real baseballs, and in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're gonna see him doing that in the regular season. And I'm excited to see what the Angels do this year now that they have Madden and some other additions to that team. So
yeah, and they have a couple young guys coming up. Joe Adell. They've signed a couple starters. Griffin Canning. He got hurt. I'm not sure if he has like Tommy John or whatever. Speaking of injuries, though, and sticking to baseball, the Yankees. Giancarlo Stanton probably not available for opening day.
Wow.
Luis Severino, we already know, is
he's getting his Tommy John surgery, right?
Yeah, and Aaron Judge might not even be for opening day. He might not be available.
Wow. I feel like last year Stanton was hurt quite a bit. Both Judge and Stanton were hurt. Judge missed quite a bit, I know.
Yeah. And then big story today, Christian Yelich signed an extension. He still had a couple years left, so there's really no worry for him to get an extension. But the Brewers recognized how good he was, and they wanted to pay the man. Which, from Milwaukee's standpoint, I would have never expected that. Wisconsin sports teams don't pay their players, and they normally let them walk. So it's great to see the Brewers finally sign a star and keep him around. They had 3 years left with him, including this year. So they extended him until 2028, and he's going to be making $215 million. And they have a mutual option for the 28-29 season. So signed a 9-year extension. 3 of those years, like I already said, he already signed. So technically he added on 5 or 6 years onto his already existing deal.
Yeah, and he's over $200 million on top of what he already is getting for the 3 years.
Yeah.
So I think well-deserved, great player. He's been good and consistent the last few years, minus his injury. Obviously,
It was a freak accident.
It was a freak accident, yeah. He broke his kneecap off a foul ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's nothing you could do about that. But as you mentioned, Wisconsin generally does not pay their athletes, minus,
Aaron
Rodgers, and Giannis is going to get his too. But that's there's not too many.
And as a Cubs fan, hate seeing it. Christian Yelich destroys the Cubs.
He's a Cubs killer.
He destroys everyone. But him being in the division, I don't like seeing. Just because he will destroy the Cubs, Brewers as a team, though, I'm not too afraid of, so it won't be too bad to see him hit a home run or two against the Cubs.
A game.
It'll be fun, though. As long as he's in the division, at least I'll see a bunch of games from him every year.
It'll be competitive with him there. I mean, that division alone is pretty damn good. You have the Reds, who should be pretty good. The Cardinals are always a good franchise, no matter who's on their team. And the Cubs, I mean, this is one of their years where it's like this year, boom or bust. You either make a push for the playoffs or you start, another rebuild?
I don't think they will go into a full rebuild, but I could see them move some pieces to keep them afloat.
Yeah.
Trade, like, you could, if they're not doing so well, you'll see Jose Quintana get traded for some prospects or maybe like an MLB almost ready guy. They aren't going to be trading for like 18-year-olds, but you could see them trading for like almost MLB ready guys.
Yeah. And I know it was rumored before Contreras has been on and off the trading block, so we'll see what happens as the season goes on. It's a long season, so.
Yeah, we'll have to see with that. In other baseball news, pretty much, there isn't really much in general.
A whole lot, yeah.
No, just spring training games here and there. I wish teams did a better job of showing games. They suck. MLB sucks. I get that they don't have the equipment for these stadiums, and it's not too hyped up because you got a bunch of guys who aren't even going to be playing in the majors this year. But you got to show all the games. You got fans wanting to watch the games, have interest in spring training, and you'll learn about some guys who could potentially be called up to their teams in the future. And just to like not have the games being shown, I think it's a little lazy, and it definitely hurts the sport.
Yes, I completely agree. I mean, there's just people out there's the fans of the game who just want to watch baseball. And, instead of having to fly to Arizona, which don't get me wrong, I like the alternative of going to Arizona where it's nice and warm. It's not likely. They do show some games, which is cool. I wouldn't watch every game. I'd probably try to catch one game a week only because it is spring training. But like you said, there are guys who will be the future of the league that you can see develop through spring training and so on and so forth. So
yeah, like you have Tim Tebow in the big league camp from the Mets. I get that he isn't great and he doesn't hit well, but that would bring in some fans to watch some spring training games because he's actually playing with like the big league spring training club.
Hey, he smacks bombs. Tebow smacks bombs. All right.
My friends and I had a conversation the other day. Who do you think is more famous, Tim Tebow or Bryce Harper at this moment?
Ooh, that's tough. Like around the world, you're talking, right?
Yeah,
Who's the most famous? I would have to be. I feel like Tim Tebow.
I think it's a lot closer than like you would. At this moment, you think Bryce Harper, he's still playing. He's still in the league. He just got paid that big contract. But Tim Tebow was a college football icon. He had a great playoff game against the Steelers.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call it great, but like the ending was memorable. And his NFL career was you would see news about him all the time. And he's in the minors. He's still on a team, even though he's not great because of his status. And it's kind of weird how today in sports, he's still kind of on that level.
He's still, he is. He definitely is. I mean, because he's still.
Bryce Harper.
He's he's an analyst on ESPN for college football. He, his spring training. I think that's all he gets to, right? Is like spring training. But I mean, he's always showed that passion. A lot of people, he was always known as that guy that who could lead his team through a brick wall. That's what Tim Tebow was known for. Bryce Harper in the MLB world, if you look at strictly that world, that sport, yes, probably I would give it to Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
Especially his name was in the news last year before he got his huge contract. Great baseball player-ish.
But if you had to ask a normal person,
who do you know, Bryce Harper or Tim Tebow? I would probably put my money on Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
So,
just a random thought that got brought up.
I did not expect that to come up, but that was good.
Yeah. If you guys have an opinion on this topic, tweet at us or message us on Instagram. Love to hear what you guys have to say about that. Football news, there isn't much. Free agency starts in a few weeks. We'll be covering that on the podcast. But this week we didn't really have much, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, we got about 2 weeks before free agency starts, which there's a lot of notable free agents. There are some franchise tag rumors out there, but that's something we'll touch base on next week once those are finalized. But I think we can skip right ahead to basketball.
NBA.
So in the basketball world, we saw 2 matchups recently. Lakers, Pelicans, and then Pelicans, Lakers, a.k.a. LeBron versus Zion. Both lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, Zion came to the league NBA ready. Although it was a lot of people were assumed by him playing in Duke and the way he just big manned everybody. He was like a grown-ass man playing with boys. That it was going to be that way. I didn't expect him to come in averaging almost 24 or 25 a game right off the bat. I mean, I know he was hurt, but after his injury especially. And to compete with LeBron. I mean, between the two of them, if you look at their matchups, so the one matchup, we had Zion. First of all, Zion shot 12 of 16. This is a game in which the Lakers were on the road against the Pelicans. They beat them by 8. It was 122 to 114. Zion shot 12 of 16 from the field, 11 of 13 from the free throw line, put up 35 points with 7 boards.
Career high
against LeBron. And LeBron in that game, too, had 34 points, so they combined for 69 points. He had a triple-double, 12 rebounds, 13 assists. They both their turnovers were kind of high in that game. They both had like 6 turnovers. LeBron, 14 of 21, very efficient. And then in the second matchup, it was Lakers at home. Or Lakers at home was the first matchup. The first matchup. So the first matchup is 118 to 109, Lakers against the Pelicans. And then with that game, Zion again dropped 29 points, so he almost had another 30-point game. He had 6 boards. His turnover rate dropped. He went from like 7 to 3, which was good, but he didn't shoot as well. He shot 8 of 18, 13 of 19 from the free throw line, not nearly as good. He was on the road, probably had the jitters. That was the first matchup against LeBron. And LeBron on the other end had 40 points. He didn't have the triple-double, but 40 points, 8 boards, 6 assists. Efficient, 17 of 27. So
they both combined for 69 points in both matchups.
That's the irony.
Which is kind of weird. I saw another stat that the first time Kobe and MJ played against each other, they combined for 69 points.
Oh, is that so? I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah.
So maybe this is like a passing of the torch.
Yeah.
So Zion is coming in. Sure, he's losing. He lost back-to-back to LeBron, right? Mm-hmm. But they're still fighting for the playoffs. He's logging an efficient amount of time, 30, 32 minutes a game now, and he's putting up the right numbers. And I actually really, really, really like this Pelicans team. And they're going to make a push, and I feel like they could end up taking that 8th seed. It all depends how Portland does, because Portland, Lillard's been hurt, so we don't know what's going to happen with them. But to see the Pelicans go in as an 8th seed, they would play the Lakers in the first round if that's the case. I would assume they would probably get swept by the Lakers, maybe take one game.
Yeah.
But they would compete every single game, considering that young core that they have. And I mean, with Zion.
They have a scrappy team.
Oh, yeah.
They have the depth, and they're currently 3.5 back of the 8th spot. The 7 and 8s, like the teams in the playoffs right now for the Western Conference, it's going to be tough for one of these teams to miss. Because right now, if the season was to end today, you'd have the Nuggets against the Mavericks with Luka and Kristaps Porzingis. And then the Grizzlies are in the 8th spot right now. Ja Morant in that Grizzlies team. I would love to see either them or the Pelicans in the playoffs and try to go up against LeBron and see which one of those future superstars, what they can do.
Yeah. You know, one team I was really hoping for the first round, because Houston was on like a very bad run for a while, and now all of a sudden they got really hot. Houston in their last 10 is 7-3. Westbrook out of nowhere turned into a version of him that I've never seen, or very close to his MVP season.
He just got snubbed of Player of the Month. LeBron got it.
LeBron got it, which It's hard. LeBron's numbers were there, but I feel like Russ, the way he's been playing,
Yeah.
even with Harden there, it doesn't guarantee them wins because, first of all, they don't have a big man anymore. They're
No.
running small. That game against the Celtics on Saturday night was a fun game to watch. I was able to catch the end of it. Crazy good game. Brad Stevens even said, who was the Celtics head coach before the game, that he's basically playing, even though Houston is small, they're all like as strong as linebackers. Good luck driving the lane. And that's exactly what happened. They had a lot of issues. PJ Tucker playing center at 6'7" or whatever he is, even though he's short when it comes to rebounding, isn't that great. He still knows how to use his body and his size.
Yeah, the technique is there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's been in the league so long that he's fundamentally sound at the position. Do they need a center? Absolutely. This team that will eventually need a center, one that could spread the floor, but also defend down low. But I think with what they have right now, they can definitely make a push in the playoffs. I was really hoping Houston didn't pick it up a notch so that maybe they could end up falling and slipping, and maybe they wouldn't have been an 8th seed because 8th seed's under 500, but seeing them play Denver or even the Clippers in the first round.
Well, a couple days ago, they were the matchup would have been Rockets Thunder. That would be the best matchup to see.
That would be a fun matchup to see. You have Chris Paul going against his old team.
Chris Westbrook going out against
his old team. Exactly. So that would have been a fun matchup. I mean, how it stands right now, I like all teams in the playoffs. Memphis, I don't know how I feel yet because, all right, I love Ja Morant. I think he's a great player. I just don't think they have the team yet to really compete. I'd rather see Portland or even the Pelicans in there.
Yeah. And then in the Eastern Conference, the Bucks 52-9, they clinched the playoffs. Surprise team that I did not know fell this far. The 76ers are currently the 6th seed in the East.
Yeah, they're the 6th seed. They're tied with the Pacers, but the Pacers have the let's see. They're ahead of them. So they're tied. They're 5th seed right now. I'm trying to look to see what the difference is. It's crazy because they're both, if you look at the points for, both teams are 107 or 109. Points against, both are 107.
Did you see the home record? The 76ers are 28-2 at home.
It's crazy.
Oh, yeah, and then the road stat, they're 9-22 on the road. Which is 3rd worst in the NBA. And there's only like 2 or 3 teams that have less wins on the road. It's Golden State, you have Cleveland, and then the Hawks, and then the Wizards now. But their road record is atrocious.
For a team that has 2 highly rated all-stars, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, they have Tobias Harris, who isn't bad, Josh Richardson. I can go all day on this team.
Yeah.
That says a lot to go on the road. If their road record is bad, well, guess what? You're in a position right now where you're going to not have home court advantage in your first series. And that's going to be against potentially, Boston?
Yeah, right now it would be Boston.
That would be a good matchup.
Yeah.
That'd be a really good matchup to see.
And you would think that both Ben Simmons and Embiid would be healthy at that point.
Correct.
Right now, they're both going back and forth with injuries.
Yeah, come playoff time, they're definitely going to be ready to go. They should be ready to go. They don't have serious injuries. It's serious enough to where they're not playing currently, but it's also, this is what they do in the regular season. I don't fear that the Philadelphia 76ers are going to keep dropping to where they're not going to have a playoff spot or Orlando's going to pass them up. But it is interesting to see that they're 28-2 at home. Like that's a really good home record. And then their road records, obviously.
I expect them to rise back up. They're only 2 games back of the 4th seed, so I expect them to rise back up because I saw the strength of schedule for the remainder of the year, and the 76ers have the 3rd worst strength of schedule, which means that they're going up against a lot of bad teams here to end the season.
Oh, so it's in their favor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The teams that they're playing have a 45.5% win percentage.
So they're all under 500, essentially.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Or they're playing like the Hawks or the Warriors or teams like that. The Pelicans actually have the worst strength of schedule.
I like that.
Which means that they could sneak into the playoffs if they play well down the stretch. The Grizzlies have the 28th, so they're going to have a tough schedule to end off the year. And then the Bucks, which they've already clinched, but they have the 22nd. The Pacers have they're 23rd. The Bulls are 27th. The Mavericks are 25th. The Lakers around the middle. But yeah, I just wanted to point out that the 76ers, they're going to be going up against a lot of bad teams. So shouldn't really worry about them being the 6th seed at the moment.
No, not at all. And plus, they're talented enough to where, I mean, Indiana has a good team. Indiana just got Oladipo back. I know he's still not 100% because he's coming off his injury, but he's back, and that team was already doing pretty well without him. You know, they have Sabonis, they have Miles Turner, who's really good center. You know, Malcolm Brogdon at the point, who obviously was pretty good in Milwaukee. And TJ Warren, he's good scorer, but when it comes to a lot of other things, he's not that great. But he's still not a bad player. So in the East, can they win a couple games in the playoffs? Sure. First round, not winning. Not winning at all.
No. We are coming down on the final stretch, though. Final 20-ish games. Everyone in the league has played around 60. So I think the final game of the regular season will be around mid-April, and then we get into the playoffs.
Yep.
So the podcast should pick up with more playoff implications and talking about the stories going down the line. So hope you guys stick around for that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely when playoff time comes around, we're going to have our predictions. We obviously know Milwaukee's going to clinch the 1 seed. We don't know that the Lakers are going to clinch the 1 seed, but if I had to put my money on it, I would say Lakers are going to take the 1 seed.
Yeah.
As much as I do like Denver and the Clippers. So we'll definitely, touch base with that. Steph Curry didn't come back like we thought he was going to come back. But now they're saying they're eyeing a Thursday return. Now, this is what I said. He's going to come back, but how many games is he really going to play? He'll play a handful, 5, 6, 7 games. Probably won't play back-to-back nights.
And he probably won't play against great teams.
Probably not. Maybe he logs 15, 20 minutes. I mean, he can do a lot in 15 to 20 minutes. Yeah. But I think it is important that they get him on the court because, well, for one, let him see the court now, get the action out of the way, let him get used to it again. You don't want him to do that during the preseason next year or regular season next year. You want him to be 100%. And then you have Klay Thompson, who should be back, I would assume, by the beginning of next season. And then, get him going with this young team. See what he does like, what he doesn't like before the season's over and they decide, okay, let's see who we're going to get rid of this year.
Yeah, and then they could draft James Wiseman out of the draft, the big man who should be a stud. They're going to have a very good pick in this year's draft, and that team next year is going to be scary.
They're already scary as it is. To add that's going to be really good.
Yeah, and they're just hurt right now.
That's it. And, I mean, it's not like they have the most athletic team. They've had, Draymond Green, who he's good. He's an athlete. He's not the most athletic. He's all around. Steph Curry, sure, he's athletic, I guess, but his game is pull up and shoot off the screen, shoot off the dribble. He's just a shooter. He's a sharpshooter, right? And then you have Klay Thompson, who's a shooter. So you don't really need, the injuries that these guys have. They might slow down a little bit, but not enough to where we're going to, next year we're not going to see them in the playoffs. I'm guarantee we're going to see the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs next year.
Yeah.
So, besides that, that's
pretty much it.
With the NBA, there was one more thing I wanted to touch base. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. I think I am wrong. We touched base on John Morant. Yeah. No, that's pretty much going to be it. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Again, this is a special episode. It is Super Tuesday. We have Healy. We have Goose. If you are not following us, our podcast on social media, Instagram, Twitter, SR Only Pod, most importantly, our Spotify and Apple Standing Room Only podcast. We do have the YouTube channel as well. If you guys like visuals, want to see Mr. Healy towering over Mr. Goose, go ahead and tune in. Just tune in. But yeah, definitely thank you guys. And
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at thehealy6.
And you can follow me on Instagram. I am iGoose. That's with 4 O's.
Yeah, and we will see you guys next week.